Hello, friends, and welcome to Write With Me Wednesdays on Thursday. Um, I I said early on when I started this, I love Write With Me Wednesdays, but I didn't have time to do it yesterday, and I still want to write with you this week, and I have a really, really exciting prompt that I want to share with you. So let's pretend it's Wednesday. Um, because in my mind, it's Wednesday for this span of time. And then when I finish, it'll be Thursday again. So it's ironically the vibe of what I want to create today with our Write With Me Wednesdays because um, I want to introduce myself if you don't know me. So, my name is Amy Kochek. I'm an emotional writing coach. And what that essentially means is that through the use of therapeutic writing prompts, we are creatively connecting to our internal guidance system, which is our emotions. And we are not classifying our emotions, we are not putting labels on our emotions, and we are not demonizing or overly accepting any of our emotions. We are believing that everything that we feel has value, and each emotion that we give a name to, so I guess we are essentially labeling it, but each emotion that we give a name to, there is a much more enriched narrative underneath it, which helps you with whatever you need help with, whatever question you have, whatever issues you're going through, um, whatever strain that you're having in your life. If you go to those emotions that you're feeling and go underneath those emotions and dialogue and feel and listen, um, you will receive information and stories and advice and encouragement that you never thought that you would be able to receive. And the most beautiful part is those words are going to come from you, which is that much more empowering. So that's what I do. That's why I do it. So the purpose of the Write With Me Wednesdays is for you to get a little bit of an experience of what emotional writing is all about, because sometimes with emotional writing we go to the emotions that historically in society might have been viewed as negative or bad, and we do a lot with those type of emotions, and the reason why is because I feel like those emotions get like a really bad rap. So I think part of emotional writing is to connect you back to a lot of those scarier, quote unquote, emotions that we usually avoid or that we demonize when they come into our body. But today, I want to take a break from the heaviness of life right now. I don't know where you are at in your life or what you are experiencing or what type of situations or relationships that you're navigating right now. But I know just in my own life and in dialoguing with other people and just seeing the condition of the world right now, I think everyone can confidently say that there is somewhat of a transition going on, whether that be this is a recent transition or an ongoing transition. And a lot of times when we are in those transitions, what's happening is that change is happening, right? Change is occurring. Even what's going on in the world, right? How many changes have happened in the last 3 years, right? Have been massive. And then what's going on right now with how much we are shifting towards a completely automated artificial intelligence type existence. That's scary. And the reason why it's scary is not because I'm going to iRobot, Will Smith, like zombies or like worst case scenario. It's just change, any change, even if that change we know is going to bring us to a, let's say, better place, or that change is essential, it does not take away from the scariness of it. And even for some of you, and I'll just speak for myself, and then if you resonate, join the party. If you feel like you are personally being stretched, right, and that stretching that is going on inside of you is literally pushing you into this state of just having to trust and believe. Terrifying. That's terrifying, right? Even the concept of trust in general can be very scary because what that's asking of you is to cede your control, see to give up your ability to try to take matters into your own hands and allow life to unfold in a way that maybe you can't see, or a way that you wish that you can control but you are allowing. It's an incredible place to be, but it also can be very scary. So as we are navigating this as a country, as the world in general, and also as individuals, right, who have families, who have jobs, careers, life can sometimes feel really serious and really scary, right? And if you are like me, sometimes I think about the young Amy, the child Amy. I wish I had a photo. Oh, I do have a photo. The child Amy. She's right here. Look at her. This is one of my favorite pictures of my family. First of all, whoever took it, perfect. Cut that head right off. But look at my brother. That was his expression for most of his childhood. It's the youngest child, right? Youngest child. If you are one, um, they have a lot of emotions, you know. Um, but that's my sister. There's the young Amy. Now, this is the irony. My mom made all of our clothes, so this is a classic Gail Kochek outfit. Was and still is an incredible seamstress. Look at my hair. Hello, young Amy. My Precious Moments Bible, my dress that my mom made me, the little bow. I've had, naturally curly hair since birth, and my mom loved to comb it. She loved brushing that hair out. Anyways, sometimes I think back to young Amy, right? And the adventures that young Amy had, and that life wasn't scary when I was young, right? And I don't take for granted that that's not everybody's story, right? But my life as a child wasn't scary. It was so imaginative. We did not grow up with a television. We grew up very religious, so my parents didn't. We didn't have a television in our house until I was in middle school, and even then, we did not have channels. Right? We just had a monitor and a VCR, and then whatever went to that VCR, um, it better be G rated. I remember the first time my mom got a PG movie, and I think someone said ass or damn in that movie, and I bawled my eyes out. I thought we were all going to hell. I thought the standards of our home were really slipping. But anyways, um, not having a TV, it caused us to get really imaginative, really creative with the way that we grew up. So I use my imagination all the time. My best friend when I was growing up was Rodney. I was a tomboy. So I hung out with all the neighborhood boys, right? And I remember like we used to play this game called Battle. I don't even remember the rules, right? It was just called Battle. And it was like me and Rodney against my sister and Rodney's sister, who was Crystal. And I don't even know what we would do. We would just run around the block and climb trees, and someone was the king and someone was the queen. And we had a ball. It was so much fun. And then we would come back inside, right? Me and my brother and my sister. And of course, like we would play church. And um, someone was always the preacher. Usually this one. Look at her. She's ready to give a word. There we go. So beautiful. Actually, I had this same dress as my sister. My mom also loved the matching dresses. Anyways, like my sister would always be the preacher, and then me and my brother would be the congregation, and then like we would have cousins over, and like we'd have the choir, right? And then every time it was my turn to preach, my sister would usher everyone out to go to the nursery with their children. So every time it was my turn to preach, nobody was ever there. We played library. We played, my mom got us a little cash register. We played grocery store. I remember we played, oh God, what we played? We played Office all the time because my dad He was a taxi driver, so we always had to have like alternate lines because people were calling the house. So we had these like old telephones that were broken. You couldn't plug them into the wall. So my dad would give us the old telephones, and we had these. Me and my sister had a notepad, and we would pretend to answer phones. And like we took our beds, and my bed used to have this shelf behind it, and I would take a chair and sit on the like push my bed out so I could fit my chair there. So that was my desk, right? My name was Stacy McKnight. I used to be obsessed with the name Stacy. I was Stacy McKnight, the secretary. Um, I remember we used to like now I'm getting like really nostalgic. And I hope that you're thinking this too, right? Because the purpose of this entire writing activity is to tap back into imagination. Tap back into imagination. You know what makes the life of a child so calm? Part of it is not, not working 40 hours a week, not having responsibility of bills, right? There's a lot that comes with adulthood that like warrants itself to be in reality, right? But if you think about it, if you only work 40 hours a week, that means that all of the rest of your hours are yours to find a place of wonder and find a place of excitement, find a place of imagination where you can unplug from what we're even seeing, if this is even reality. But it's like unplugging from all of the hard things that are going on and find a way for you to tap back into your imagination, whatever that looks like. I remember me and my brother and my sister, we had, my mom would get us blank tapes. Y'all remember blank tapes? And we had like this mini microphone, and we would press record on the blank tapes, and we would have our own radio show, right? So it was like, and of course my sister was always the DJ, the oldest. Anyways, so she always had the microphone, right? And we would do like we would pretend that we were radio DJs, and then like we would play music into the stereo to record the music, because that would be like our break. But we had so much fun just using our imagination, right? And tapping into all of the unlocked feelings that can only come when you rid yourself of what you believe to be the concrete truth that cannot change, right? Especially if you're in a situation in your life where you're currently at, you have done all you can, right? And once again, I don't like, this is very much, I'm speaking to myself. And if you resonate, join the party. But when you are in a state in your life where you've done all that you can, all that you know to do, you put out the resumes, you put out the programs, you're doing everything like you're hoping, you're praying, you're trying to keep a good mindset, and it still feels like things have not changed. Sometimes that can get us in a panicked existence. It can get us into anxiety. We can start feeling overwhelmed. Our bodies might start breaking down, right? And sometimes when what we consider reality and what we see as our concrete existence feels stagnant, step out of that and step into your imagination and just create. Just create. You don't even have to know what's on the other side of this creation. Just create and believe that in that state of creativity, right? What you are doing is you are unlocking this stuck energy in your brain. And then what you're doing is you're opening up your brain to a world of possibilities, right? Because in the world of imagination, anything is possible. That's why being a kid is fun. Like, think about me and my brother and my sister pretending that we were radio DJs and owning it like this is real, right? We weren't thinking like, oh, this is so embarrassing. I feel like an imposter, right? Like, What if someone ever listened to this? What would they think? We didn't care. We were having fun. And in our imaginary world, anything was possible. And for you, in your imaginary world, anything is possible. So that's where we're going today. So the writing prompt that we are working from today is we are going to step into the world of superheroes, and you are taking the role, excuse me, you are taking the role of a superhero. Okay. So the first thing that I want you to do, I want you to get out your journal. I always prefer to write in my journal because there is a pen to heart connection scientifically, right? But if you do better on like writing on your laptop or you do better like writing on your phone, feel free with whatever you want to do. Okay. So the first thing that I want you to do is we're going to take a moment and I'm going to give us about a minute. I don't want to overthink this. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes with me and I want you to take yourself out of this concrete world. Come with me. Okay. And we're not all going to the same place. We're all going to our different superhero worlds. So if you close your eyes, I want you to go to your superhero world. And I want you to see that world. I want you to feel like you're standing in the middle of wherever this world might be. Maybe your world is like has a downtown city feel with flying cars. Maybe your world is in the desert somewhere with, sand huts. Maybe your world is in nature, but go there first. Okay? See yourself in this world. And in this world, I want you see stand behind yourself as this superhero so that you are not a piece of that yet. We are not in the superhero's body right now. Right now we're just in the observation. Okay? So the first thing that I want you to do is when you open your eyes, I want you to write out what is your superhero world called? What does it look like? And what sort of laws should we know about? Okay, so I'm going to say it again. What does your superhero world look like? What is it called? And what are like the rules to it? Okay, I'm going to give us 2 minutes for that. Okay. So, um, remember, we just created the name of our superhero world. What does the world look like, right? And then what are the laws? What are the things, the general to-dos about this society? So the superhero world that I created, right? I found that it was kind of similar to this world, only much more expansive, much more it's driven by technology, a lot more flying cars. But one thing about this world is that people are very, very busy, and people are very, very numb to the world around them. So it's almost like a routine that most of these people are going through. It's really sunny outside always, but the buildings, the skyscrapers seem to block the natural sunlight, which brings some sort of a sadness to this environment. And the world's name that I chose is called Amarta. I don't know where I came up with that name. It just came to me. Okay. So now that we've established the place, right? Because you have to think about, and this is where your imagination can parallel what's going on currently in your life, right? So I think that what would be interesting is after you do your free write and after you think about what you have created in your superhero world, how much that structure is similar to your real world, because that's the power of imagination, because the power of imagination is a connection to the real world. It's just your imagination lets you think about it in a much larger expansive way, because remember, when you are imagining something, everything is possible. You have no limits. That's why doing writing activities that take you out of reality into imagination, now we are thinking at a whole different level. So think of this world that you're creating right now, the world that you can escape into when you feel stuck in this world. Okay. So now that we have the world created, the next thing that I want to do is I want you to create yourself as the superhero, right? So the next part of this is I want you to give yourself a superhero name. I want you to give yourself superhero powers. Let's start with that. I almost gave you the third one, but I think I just want to start with that. So I'm going to give us about 2 to 3 minutes because I want you to get really specific with your superhero powers. What do you do? What are you capable of doing? Right. And remember, like a superhero, if we think about superhero powers, a lot of times they are beneficial to the individual, but also beneficial to the people around you. But it doesn't have to be that way. Your superhero powers can be whatever you say that they are, right? So, superhero name, superhero power. Let's go. Okay. All right. So now we have superhero name and we have superpower. Okay. So the superhero name, so my superhero name, I chose Cabell, the Heart Whisperer. I don't know why that just made me smile so big. Cabell, the Heart Whisperer. So that is my superhero name is Cabell, and then the Heart Whisperer is kind of like my mantra, I guess. And my superpower is that I send words directly to the heart. So that's my superpower. And the words that I send to the heart bring life, bring energy, bring change, bring destruction, whatever I choose for those words to be, right? And I want you to know that you can play around with this however you want. Because I want to use this specific writing activity to help me escape from the confines of where I'm currently at, I'm still using the foundation like pieces of me. Does that make sense? And I think that there's so much value to that. Still using pieces of you, but letting it be you without boundaries, you without confines. Okay. So the next thing that I want you to do is I want you to write your superhero's origin story. Okay. So these are all the things that I want you to write for your superhero origin story. I want you to write about your birth. I want you to write about when you received your powers or when you knew that you had powers, right? And I want you to add any of the important characters. So, who's the important characters in your life right now? I also I also want you underneath this for your superhero origin story. I want you to write about what is your what is your kryptonite, right? And kryptonite has been used so much to just describe what is that thing that comes into your life that potentially dulls your powers. So in your superhero origin story, identify, and it might be various things, but what is your kryptonite? What are things that could come into your life that might dull your power, right? But not just what is your kryptonite, how do you overcome the kryptonite, right? So whatever comes into your life that could potentially dull your powers, what is it that restores your powers energy? Now, it's really important to do this backdrop of the superhero story because next week we're going to take this superhero story to another level by taking your superhero into an adventure. So, this first part is just us establishing your superhero, right? And we can even see your superhero as like an alter ego. It is you without boundaries where anything is possible. So, I'm going to leave this for you for homework, okay? So, for your homework, what you are doing is you are planning out your superhuman origin story or your superhero origin story. And then next week, we are then going to take your superhero and we are going to take your superhero on an adventure. And what we're going to be able to do with that is really start seeing the parallels between your superhero story and between your current life. And what sort of information have you got from that experience that you can then bring back into the world with boundaries, with what we perceive as rules and strict guidelines? What can you pull from the imagination realm and bring into reality? Because think about it like this. Most of what we enjoy today, right, started off in somebody's imagination. Like some things that were created were seen as crazy. What? Like think about someone being in our world, right? Someone like even from the 1920s, right? Someone from the 1920s being here in 2023. It would feel like they were in a dream because the majority of what we have, take it back 50, 60, 70 years, and that only happens in imagination. That's not real. That's not the real world, right? But creation starts in the imagination. So that's why these next 2 weeks, we are going straight to your imagination. And one thing that I encourage you between now and next week, really start thinking about the childhood version of yourself. Start thinking about how much imagination fueled you and what you learned through imagination when you were younger. And how can you start incorporating more of that into your current reality? How can you start, right? Like the Bible says that unless you receive the kingdom like a child, you'll never see it, right? And that is a very powerful statement because why why can you only receive the benefits of the kingdom when you have the mindset of a child? Because a child's mind believes that there's no limits. A child's mind sees the world as endless possibilities. It's only when we get to the doubts, the self-consciousness, the insecurities, that's when the opportunities feel like they're no more. And the rules feel like they're suffocating us. And our reality is making us feel like we're living in a dim, dark existence without the ability to change it. But there's always the ability to change it. And when you don't know, when you feel lost, get out of this like serious mindset, right? Like when adults tell the kids, come to the real world, it's like, this isn't the real world, right? This is just what we've all determined is real. But there's so much value in the imagination. So, um, I want you to have fun with this one because I am going to have so much fun with this. Um, I am going to spend this next week, and I hope you do too, really having fun with crafting my superhero narrative because I was thinking today, I want a specific place for my mind to go to that is home for me when I feel overwhelmed by this. And I want my body to go to a home where anything is possible. And I find that when I use my imagination, it gives me something tangible to hold on to, right? Like I'm not just floating in the air. It's like I see myself. I'm a superhero, and these are the colors I'm wearing. And that's how specific I want you to get. What do you look like as a superhero, right? What colors do you wear? Do you wear a mask? I'm not wearing a mask. I don't want to cover my face. I want my face to show. I want my smile to show, right? Um, but have fun with it and share it. Share it with me. If you have portions, I would love, love, love to see your excerpts in the comments below. So wherever you're viewing this, show me some of your stuff. I want to know. So then our superheroes can be friends. And help save the world together. And by saving the world, we're saving this world. When I save the world within inside of me, this world, I save the worlds that are around me because I teach with my life more than I teach with my words. So the saving of myself becomes the my guiding light or the guiding light that I can give to other people. I'm not merely teaching people by saying all the right things. I'm teaching people by just living a life that is so aligned with love, with loving who I am, with loving what I'm creating, with loving the environment around me, right? Becomes a powerful experience. So thank you so much for joining me for Write With Me Wednesdays on Thursday. And hopefully I'll see you all next week, either on Wednesday or Write With Me Wednesday on whatever day of the week it occurs. Because you know what? Even in my reality, I don't like to follow rules. And if you're not a rule follower, nor do you like following rules, welcome to the party. I will see you all next week.